Following the Olympic ice dance final in Milan, an odd event occurred. Most viewers were first unaware of it. The scoreboard displayed what appeared to be a typical Olympic outcome. Cameras were flashing, and the arena was still humming. France won the gold medal, and the United States won the silver. However, as the judging sheets began to circulate, a different image gradually became apparent. The American team did enough, according to 5 judges, to win. One judge failed to do so, and that one set of results altered everything. Silver and gold were separated by a little more than a point. It's close enough that every little detail counts in ice dance, whether it's a slightly higher execution grade or a slightly lower program component. Small changes that most fans don't notice unless they look at the breakdown later. However, analysts did examine it this time. One judge's score was significantly higher than the rest, significantly different, not just marginally. The discussion around the Olympic final abruptly changed. What had appeared to be a standard outcome started to feel uneasy. The judging panel was defended by the International Skating Union. Officials clarified that differences between judges are typical in figure skating. In a technical sense, they are correct. Interpretation is always possible in subjective sports. However, the conversation never truly ended, since a few weeks later there was still another surprising development. Madison, Chock, and Evan Bates, the current world champions, unexpectedly vanished from the Prague World Championships entry list. Just a straightforward update to the competition roster, no press conference, no grand announcement of retirement. Their names had vanished. It appeared to be a typical post-Olympic break for casual fans. After the games, skaters frequently conclude their seasons early. Athletes are emotionally and physically exhausted by the Olympic cycle. Many of them are exhausted by the time the final ceremony concludes. However, there was something distinctive about this time for those who had spent years following Chock and Bates, because their tale had never been straightforward. In 2011, 2 young skaters were just stepping onto the rink together to see if a partnership would work. Far before Olympic medals, long before world titles, and long before millions of people knew their names. In ice dancing, skill is never sufficient on its own. It is necessary for 2 athletes to learn to move as though they have the same instincts. Complete synchronization is necessary for each edge, step sequence, and lift. The illusion vanishes in an instant with one pause and one poorly timed movement. In the sport, partnerships frequently fall apart after a few seasons. However, something about Bates and Chock gradually turned out to be different. Inside peaceful Michigan rinks, training sessions continued late into the night. As they repeatedly performed the identical routines, music reverberated across vacant ice. Coaches kept a close eye out for indications of the unique chemistry that distinguishes successful teams from outstanding ones. Progress was gradual initially. Programs that started to garner recognition for their unique theatrical style, small international podiums, and gradual advances. Chock and Bates brought something a little different to the rink, whereas many teams concentrated almost solely on technical accuracy. Their performances frequently have the feel of short stories told via movement rather than routines. Judges began to take note. Fans began to recall their names. And one of the longest-lasting collaborations in contemporary ice dancing had quietly started without many people's knowledge at the time. The complexity of that voyage was something that no one could have foreseen back then, because the first Olympic moment they pursued together would almost ruin the entire narrative before it had a chance to develop. There was another Olympic moment that almost changed everything, long before Milan and the judging dispute. It took place within the Gangneung Ice Arena in South Korea in February of 2018. The mood surrounding figure skating was electrifying when the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang began. Olympic years are always more significant. The lights have increased in brightness. Every move on the ice is the result of years of practice, and the quiet before a performance feels heavier. By then, Madison, Chock, and Evan Bates had been working together for over 7 years. They were no longer the bright, fresh arrivals from training rinks in Michigan. They were now respectable competitors on the global scene. Their programs had developed into something unique choreography, dramatic storytelling, and lifts that combined theatrical expressiveness with athletic accuracy. Their performances felt dramatic, almost like watching a scene unfold rather than a routine. As commentators frequently noted, Olympic ice is different though. That evening in Pyeongchang, when their free dance got underway, everything appeared to be going as athletes had envisioned following years of training. The borders of the whole were neat. They had excellent timing with the music. With the serene assurance that comes from thousands of hours of practice, lift after lift landed. The routine went smoothly for a few minutes. Then, in the middle of the program, during a series of quick footwork, something quite imperceptible occurred. They clipped their skates together. It was the kind of small error that can happen in ice dance when 2 skaters move quickly and within inches of one another. The impact was felt right away. Suddenly, in the middle of their Olympic program, they both lost their equilibrium and fell. The arena let forth a gasp. Olympic moments extend time in an odd way. When you consider what is at risk, a moment on the ice might seem much longer. Thousands of hours spent on icy rinks worldwide, years of training, and infinite travel were all condensed into one frightening moment. However, what transpired next exposed a crucial aspect of their collaboration. They stood up. There was no hesitation and no obvious fear. They just stood, re-establishing their connection to the choreography, and continued. After that, each step required complete focus. Each lift insisted that they disregard the recent error. They completed the course. Additionally, the applause had a somewhat different tone than usual as the music concluded. It went beyond simple appreciation for the performance. There was also a subtle awareness of how rapidly Olympic aspirations might change. The truth became evident when the scores were revealed later. A medal that had seemed achievable had vanished. Such a moment can be the tipping point for many teams. In ice dancing, partnerships are inherently brittle. Athletes may be driven in different directions by a single Olympic setback. However, in this instance, an unforeseen event occurred. Their story did not finish with the fall in Pyeongchang. If anything, it subtly changed its contour, because their relationship would develop into something more profound than any of them had anticipated in the years that followed. Two individuals whose lives were gradually getting entwined both on and off the ice, not merely teammates vying for medals. Subtle at first, that alteration would eventually completely alter how the world perceived their skating. There were no big announcements or unexpected breakthroughs in the years following the Pyeongchang Olympics. For Madison, Chock, and Evan Bates, life initially resumed as usual. Training started over again. The competitions went on. Their itineraries were once again packed with flights between continents. Even after an Olympic setback, elite skater schedules hardly ever went down. However, a minor change had occurred. Competitions don't always bring about the most significant improvements in a partnership. They take place in the quiet times when no one is around. Conversations on travel days, long evenings after practice, or the eerie quiet of deserted rinks after everyone has left. Chock and Bates had shared almost every aspect of their professional life for years, including strategy sessions with coaches, early morning workouts, and many repetitions of the same step sequences until the edges became second nature. These common routines eventually expanded to include activities other than
shot straight up into the sky.